Hey, this is John Lee Dumas, the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire. And if you're wanting to learn how to embrace change and navigate through disruption as a leader, then listen to the Leadership is Changing podcast with my good friend, Denis. He's prepared to ignite.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas.
Hey, welcome to the show, Leadership is Changing. What we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Leaders everywhere confront similar obstacles because people are people, but everywhere you go, leaders are overwhelmed, disrupted, and under pressure. They run from email to email, meeting to meeting. Many leaders are not changing quick enough, which means they run the risk of becoming irrelevant and being left behind. So perhaps the show is taking our listeners' leadership to another level by finding their balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. I believe we don't have enough effective leaders in the world today, and if we can get the leaders to step up and lead change, then they can inspire real change. Hey listeners, it's now time to adapt in our fast-moving world. Welcome to today's episode, which is the Ask Denis freestyle episode. I'm asked a question by our listeners, or I share my thoughts, insights, and experiences from working with many leaders around the globe. Hey, it's always great to be with you. And this freestyle episode happens once a week. And as you know, I already interview two other people throughout the week. And then we do this freestyle episode where we specifically work on a certain topic. And hey, if you haven't already checked out the Facebook group or the LinkedIn page, Leadership is Changing, go ahead and check those out. That'd be wonderful. And if you haven't already done a review or rating on Apple, or a rating, which is brand new now on Spotify, if you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, you can do the rating there as well. Please go ahead and do that. We would love you to do it because it actually helps with the exposure and the impact of the podcast that people can see and share and so forth. So let's get into today's episode. The question I'm being asked of late, and in particular in the last couple of days, is it too late to set goals? Well, you know, when you're hearing this is probably going to be the end of week 1 for 2022. Wait, what? Week 1 already done? Yep, time is moving and this year is going fast already. And so it's all good though. Hey listeners, breathe, relax. It's all good. What I'm going to talk to you today about is about this and about when is the right time to set goals. And you see, you've got time. Any time is the right time to set a goal. However, I've got to say this to you. If you're setting goals for the year, the longer you leave it, the harder it will get. Why? Because you're all going to get busy. For some of you, you're just coming back from holiday break already. In some parts of the world, it is summertime and people are on their summer breaks. And so what it means is that people are finding that they are going to lose time or get very busy once again, and they won't actually have much time to do the actual setting of the goals. So if you act now, you're all going to be good. But as I said, don't leave it for too long because something else is going to happen for you. It's now February. And now it's the end of Q1, right? And so what I also know is that if you set the goals now and start to get the momentum, start to get things happening, as you go into February, as you go into other months, things will start to take off for you. But if you're setting the goals towards the end of this month and into February and so forth, it's not going to be until March that you may see some momentum, and already Q1 is already done. Now, for a lot of you, you've set New Year resolutions, which is wonderful and also interesting at the same time. And as I've said in previous episodes, on the 2nd of January, I always put up a quote that says this: "Dear New Year resolution, it has been nice knowing you. Yours sincerely, 2nd of January." What happens is that for a lot of people, they have these New Year resolutions and then they wake up on the second day of the year and they have already given up on it. For others, they start to give up it more at the end of this week, right? So in other words, the end of week 1 and then the end of this month as well. And so when we think about that and thinking about how do we actually set things, New Year resolutions and setting goals, two different things. The way I look at it, New Year resolutions is at the new year, you're turning a page as a fresh start, but you're making a statement where the goal is actually saying in cement, this is what I'm wanting to achieve. Now, I don't know how to get there, and a lot of the plans and so forth will be in sand, and they may adjust. The deadline, the date may adjust in sand as well, right? But the thing here is the goal is the goal. And so I find that people are wanting to focus on that. The other thing is, I think that if you're wanting to get on with it, then get on with it. Make that decision and do what you need to do and what's right for you. So I would start off with the reflection of the 2021, the year before. Reflect on it. Think about those 3 questions. And 3 questions: what went well? What could I have done differently? And what will I do differently now going forward? And then once you've done the reflection, work out what is it that you're actually wanting to do? What is some big hitters out there, or the big things that you want to get done in this year? And then set around 3 to 5 key goals around those big areas. So we call them bags, like BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals. And they're quite scary at times, and we may not know what they mean or how we're going to get there. See, today I was interviewed on a LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube live session, and there was a whole lot of leaders around the world actually tuning in for it. We discussed 2 things: goal setting and leading change in a disruptive world. And we talked about how do we actually do this and how do we actually set the goals. And the thing is that I talked about 3 simple goals, 5 at the most. The question was asked, but what happens if you finish one of those goals? I went, great. Then set a new goal and bring that into the mix. I'm not saying you can't have other goals. What I'm just saying is focus on the 3 to 5 that you want to get done. And I'm actually working with clients at the moment, and what I've done with them prior to Christmas, prior to the break, prior to the end of the year, was I started to get them ready for success in this year. Started to get them to reflect on the year that's just been by asking those 3 questions. Then I'm also getting them to start thinking about where is it they want to go in this year. And then, of course, setting the 3 to 5 goals. Now we are getting together to clarify those goals, getting quite clear in their thinking. In fact, I'm going to challenge them in their thinking to make sure that these are the right areas that they want to focus on. Is there something else they should be focusing on first before they look at these different areas? We're going to refine them. It's almost like they've got some rough edges, but we're going to buff them up and polish them so then they're all nice and shiny. And then we're going to make sure we've got plans and then make massive action, take actions. You notice how I just said there, it wasn't action plan, it was plan and action. And then, of course, we'll review it, monitor it, track their goals, adjust depending on what's happening for them and what kind of results they're getting. And we'll keep monitoring to make sure that happens for them on an ongoing basis. My question to you, listeners, is this. What are you doing to set up your year for success? Do you need help in this, or would you want to do it yourself? Now, for a lot of you, very capable people, even capable people, high performers that I work with, very, very capable people. But it's just great for them to have someone to bounce ideas off. Great for them to have someone who's going to hold them accountable. And so whatever help you might need, hey, feel free to reach out to me and have a chat to me about things. Because you see, it's not too late to set your goals. Your goals can be set now. You can go away and do some massive things if you wanted to. And if you're wanting to make sure that this year is going to be a great year for you, even knowing that there's certain things that could be thrown at you, curveballs and other things changing, because as we've always said, the constant thing in life is change, and change will happen. And so I know that even if you do set goals, or if you don't set goals, things are going to change for you. And so if you can take control and focus on where you are heading, that's going to be really cool. A lot of people try and control things that are out of their control, but there's always 2 things that are in your control. One is your attitude and the way you react to things, and number 2 is where you're going next. Now, listeners, this is what's really important for you. Where you are going next is key. These goals will feed into where you're going next because they're going to be the enablers, the pillars, the things that are going to help you move forward to where you want to go. Not where Denis wants you to go, not where others might want you to go. It's where you want to go. And if you can set those goals, that's great. Now, for some of you, you're going to self-doubt yourself. You're going to lose confidence. You're going to find that you're not sure about these goals, whether they're right for you. So you're going to hesitate. You're going to procrastinate, and you're not going to get on with things. The number of people that I've met of late who are wanting to start a podcast, and they haven't done it. I know how they feel. Why? Because I was the same. But until you get on with it and get it over the line and get underway, it's amazing what might actually happen for you. So my question for you is then, how might you get things underway? Setting goals is one way to do it. Having a coach beside you and around you to help hold you accountable, help you take ownership, challenge you in your thinking, support you, and be there with you is really vital. So I'm going to encourage you, if you need help, feel free to reach out to me through the email that will be in the show notes or social media that's available for you as well. Hey team, it's not too late for you to set your goals. Let's get on with it, but let's have fun with it as well throughout this year. Hey listeners, what we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Change is incredibly scary, especially with the unknown and unfamiliar territory. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing. Look out for the episodes as they're being released. Download them, have a listen, put a review and a rating. Feel free to share them with your friends, your family, and your network. Hey, if there's any feedback you'd like to give me about the show, or if there's a question you have for the Ask Denis Freestyle episode, then send me an email, dennis@leadingchangepartners.com. Hey, listeners, it's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.